Now, we also want to get a little bit into Overwatch. And I think, I mean, theoretically speaking, especially as a color caster, you want to be as objective and as unbiased as possible. And at the same time, like there's certain playstyles maybe or player profiles that one naturally gravitates towards. So here's your chance to make the official announcement that maybe the evaluation that you have of some of these players or player types are never going to be like truly balanced. So is there like a player or maybe just a player type that AVRL really likes?
Yeah, leave, I guess. I'm done. I would just leave it at that. No, I like players that as far as competition goes, sports, esports, whatever, I like the player that can do the fanciest stuff, the highest mechanical skill, the best overall player, the one that can wow me a lot, and the one that I can get excited about watching play. As both an analyst and, if I'm allowed to say, a fan as well. So I like people who are the best players, like Lip, like Leave, like Fearless, all the usual names, everybody on the MVP list, Shu. I'm not going to name all of them, but like all the good players, every single good player. And if you're like an extremely good player that has extremely high mechanical skill, that's what I want to see. Ultimately, I just want to see the best competition play against each other, the best teams in a matchup against each other, delivering the best possible, games to spectate. That's the ultimate goal.
Is there maybe one such character that you thought like played at the highest level but was a little bit underrated? We didn't really talk enough about the guy.
Underrated.
Mm-hmm.
Fate was pretty hard underrated on Shanghai Dragons. Fate was hard underrated by a lot of people. I don't know, underrated. I feel like everyone was pretty correctly rated. Maybe Dante's is still a little bit underrated because I feel like he's a great player that wasn't able to find success on his team. I was going to say like Pelican, maybe because he got robbed from a potential role star, despite being the rookie of the year and MVP candidate and just one of the best players we'd seen all year. He didn't get a role star, which is a little bit upsetting. And because he was on Atlanta is probably the most underestimated team of the entire year. People just never give Atlanta the respect they deserve. And along with that, I feel like if you're an Atlanta player, you kind of end up fitting into that as well, and people don't give you the respect you deserve. So maybe the whole Atlanta roster, we'll just say that.
For sure. I mean, I think they only got one role star last year, right?
No,
Pelican?
0.
Oh, Pelican didn't even get one, right?
No.
Well, yeah. I mean, getting second that way is certainly strange. Do you have a favorite series that you casted this year, where you were actively involved in?
Yeah. The Spaghetti Bowl #1 for me. It would have been #2 chronologically because Achilles did one with ZP, I think. Or maybe he did it with Jaws, I can't remember. But there were 3 matches this year where Philadelphia Fusion and Seoul Dynasty matched up, and the second of which I casted, and it was a qualifier game into the Countdown Cup, if I'm not mistaken. That was the one that Seoul made and did poorly in. And then Spaghetti Bowl 3 was the play-ins. I think that was the last match I casted this entire year. But Spaghetti Bowl #2, the qualifier game into the tournament, was probably my favorite game that I did this year.
Nice. Now, okay, so you mentioned something earlier about Fate, and now it's not letting me move on in my mind. So consider this. Okay. Consider this on broadcast or on recording research. Is Fate the best main tank of Overwatch 1?
God, that's hard. He's the best at the end, like at the end of Overwatch 1, winning with the Shanghai Dragons, dominating with the team. Is he how do I have to include all the existence of Overwatch 1? It's pretty tough. I feel like Fearless showed some really high highs that were pretty nuts when he was at his peak on Winston. And then he started to get good on the ball later on, but Fate was just too far ahead. maybe overall, maybe Fate overall towards the end. Yeah, I mean, he's got to be. I think most people would rather say Fearless, but I feel like Fate did better on the roles. I mean, people would argue. This is the problem. Is like if I say that, people would argue. I was like, oh, Fate got lucky with the meta. Fearless got unlucky with the meta. But then, like, guys, if Winston was the meta the whole way through, then the opposite would be true. Then Fearless would get lucky with the meta. Fate would get unlucky. So I don't even know how that conversation works. So I'll say yes because he was also integral to Shanghai's success, and he did not get carried. It was not a case where the rest of Shanghai was so good that Fate just kind of throw the success of everybody else. He had to pull his weight very, very significantly so, especially on a quite important role like the ball. There were just not very many balls, if any, that could really kind of match him. So for what was required at the end of Overwatch, probably, yeah.
And then, I mean, for the entire history, he has a longevity. Was pretty good in Season 1, right? Probably one of the top 3, top 5 best tanks in the league. Okay, Season 2 happened. Valiant happened, to be fair. He gets to Shanghai. It's to Florida Mayhem. It's probably like a pretty top 5, probably main tank there as well. Super reliable. We saw what happened to Florida to an extent that when he was gone, right? And then in Season 4, of course, probably best main tank. You think that's a solid argument for best main tank of Overwatch 1?
I think people would argue, like, achievement-wise, Super and Smurf had more achievements because they won the league. Well, I mean, Fate's won now. He's won the latest one, but then people are like, oh, is Super won too? I don't know. Like, It depends on what you value in a player. Some people value just the pure achievements, like, look at the accolades of this player. But then also Fate won all the titles with Shanghai that Shanghai won this year, including the finals and then 2 tournaments as well. He won with Valiant back in the day. Like, he doesn't shy away from those accolades. It's not like he doesn't have any. And yeah, I mean, I think I'll just stick to Fate for now.
Right. Now let's look a little bit ahead, because here in these interviews, we've often asked like general managers, like, how is it to build a team on a game that has not been yet released? And like, how do you manage, and what are your considerations now? At the same time, we kind of have to ask, how is it that you're going to cast a game that isn't even out yet? Would you like to have it very soon? How much preparation will casters need? What do you think about that subject?
Well, next year's casters ideally should have the game at the same time as the players. And I don't know how the playing situation is going to work. Obviously, the casting talent, or just the talent in general, the broadcast talent in general, is obvious to say, but far lesser in skill than any other pro players. People were asking, I remember back in the Talent Takedown, we were all playing, and people were saying like, "Oh, do you think, the talent team could beat the LA Valiant of this year?" I'm like, hell no, there's not even close, man. Like, those guys would cream us. Those guys are like all GM players. Even if they got crushed, they're still GM plus players. They would absolutely destroy us because we've got people in gold and plat, including I'm in plat as well. So it's like this is just zero chance. But yeah, I don't know how we would play it, because we would have to probably play. It's not like we can just queue up and quick play and play against people of our skill level. We'd have to probably play, I assume, against the pros and get totally crushed. But ideally, the casters would maybe get access to scrims or scrim footage. If it were me, I have some contacts within coaches and managers in the league and different teams that maybe I could squeeze in somewhere and ask some questions or get some footage privately just for my own research. But there needs to be something, like if the talent can't get access to like professional footage to look at, analyze, and talk about and go over with, then the talent's not going to bring enough depth to the table for the actual broadcast, because it's going to be like, well, we played the game, got destroyed by the pros, and we didn't learn a lot. It's not, you don't have enough. So I want to get it on scrims, is basically what I'm saying.
Couldn't that theoretically also be exciting to sort of like, let's see the hypothetical scenario is like, pros get access to the game, they're not allowed to stream it for a while, for, I don't know, like maybe it's not as polished as Blizzard wants it, but at least wants to give some time to the game for the players. You guys get the footage. understand what meta positions or meta compositions work, how the game plays differently. And then on day one of Overwatch League, you know so much more than everyone in the audience. I mean, that's a given, but even more than ever. Wouldn't that be an exciting situation where you could like share that information at the start of the league?
Well, that's how it's supposed to be. I think the audience would look at the talent for the answers to their questions, like what is good? How does this game play? Why is X and Y the way it is? I mean, that's even how it is now. I spent a lot of time on my personal stream and also on broadcast, kind of explaining what teams are doing and why they're doing that, as a way to bridge the audience over to the competitive side and get some insight on what is actually happening in the game. Kind of teaching the audience in a way, and that is even going to be more important for a new game that people can't play yet, where they are going to want to know a lot of things. And so, yeah, we're going to have to be, the talent crew, whoever it is, are going to have to be very knowledgeable and very well researched. And just seeing scrim footage, if it were me, is probably not enough. Like, I want to hear comms. I want to talk to the players. I want to talk to the coaches. I want to kind of dig into their brains about what they think is working, what isn't working, and why. Because I want to, if it were me, I want to have that level of knowledge to bring to the table for the broadcast.
For sure. Right. That's all we have today. Thank you for sitting down with us, and best of luck for the rest of the off season.
Thank you so much.